Hello, everyone. It's Hans McCarthy here with Unsilenced podcast. I'm here with Dreaver, and I'd just like to give a shout out to our sponsor, Nietzsche Auto Glass. Let's go. This episode is powered by Nietzsche Auto Glass, Neechee Auto Glass, Indigenous owned out of Edmonton. They've got you covered for windshield replacement, rock chip repair, and all auto glass, and they come to you. Rock chip repair tent coming soon to Stony Plain Road and 156th Street behind the Lodge Inn. Pull up and get fixed up. Fast, reliable for our people, Indigenous owned and operated. Nietzsche Auto Glass, your glass, our people. So go ahead, Crystal, you can introduce yourself and talk about what you come here to talk about.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Dreaver. I am from Muscoda First Nation and Pipikisi's Cree Nation, but I'm registered in Muscoda. I actually left Saskatchewan for 18 years. Came back in probably 2, 3 years ago now, and yeah, it's been good. So, when I came back, I started working for my First Nation in the finance department. And, living off reserve, like I didn't really get like help from my band and stuff like that. Like I didn't really need it or ask, or I wasn't really too much, affiliated with my band or anything. Um, but I always wondered, like, how come we were always so far behind? Um, you know? So like just any like normal questions that you think of like about your band. So I first worked clerk to council. So I got to know a little bit in that area. I did have to leave. I moved back to BC and then I ended up coming back. And then that's where I worked in finance. And working in there, I've learned quite a few things, and it's not good. So, there is a contract system that has been happening for quite a few years. I'm not quite sure how long, but I know it's been happening for a really long time. So this contract system is where they hire contractors and pay them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I believe there's certain people getting kickbacks from that. And I think we um, worked it out to 8 people that may be receiving kickbacks. But that's just based on certain things that were happening. Um, but yeah, I'm not going to name any names, but I'm sure my First Nation's going to figure out who I'm talking about just by like their positions. And that's okay because this is what like you're calling out your band in like finance hands
Yeah.
um and I'm sure like they know who you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And and but the point is to getting that the awareness out there. So well-respected man. He was both a counselor and a chief. Um he has done a lot of criminal activity within the organization of Muscoda First Nation. Um, we believe he's one of the leaders of the contract system and has other people involved um, with another organization. I don't know if I could say their organization or not. Um,
It's really up to you
okay.
what you want to say.
So what that organization is STC.
Okay.
STC, there is some people that, you know, jump in with certain things, which I find really, really fishy. Uh, some of the criminal activities include he knows these contract workers are paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're paid more than the chief. And so that's where you're kind of like, that's where I'm like, okay, why are these two guys getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars when there's no work being shown? They're writing like their invoices, but even their invoices don't make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
not really any
Yeah.
work being proven and shown. And so that's like on our end in finance, like when you do notice like these things. Um, so when I started looking into it, um, that's when I noticed that, yeah, they're getting paid more than the chief. What's going on here? Why are these people getting paid? They're not even from our reserve either. And they're contractors. And uh I'm just sorry, I'm just reading some notes so I don't
No,
forget
it's
anything.
fine. Fine.
Um, so then another trend was this ex-chief slash counselor. His son runs the housing on our reserve. And there was another employee, he was actually our heating and plumbing guy, and he was salaried. And then all of a sudden, he turned into a contractor. And then I looked into the last couple of years, and he was actually getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, almost
Wow.
$200,000. And I was like, why? How come he went from like plumbing and heating, which should, be salaried as a whole,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it's separated. And so he's an employee, both an salaried employee plus a contractor for both the same jobs. So what happened there? And why is he getting paid so much? So that's where I think that that contract system is being used in that same department because he's following his father's footsteps.
Yeah.
So then another thing that happens is this chief slash counselor, his sister runs the well-being center. And she, um, so those two contractors, um, before I get back to her, these two
Yeah.
contractors, they were trying to figure out a way to get rid of them. There was one CEO that kind of did, but they voted them back in. Something happened like that, something weird. And it wasn't until somebody, like when I started speaking out on domestic violence, some lady reached out to me and told me a little bit of history of her husband, which was one of the contractors. So I provided this information to a counselor in which I trusted, and pretty much the only one that I trusted and decided to go to, even though I wasn't sure if I could trust him, but I
Yeah.
did anyways. Um, just because I knew he didn't like the guy. And so with that information, he ended up getting both the contractors fired. December, oh, I brought him the information December of 2024, January of 2025, they were fired. So um after they were fired, like when you let go of people, they're supposed to be like paid out, right?
Yeah.
Like pay them out like any money owing, blah blah blah, all
Their
that stuff.
severance
Their severance,
and
everything,
their
right?
vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
So um elections came up and um the counselor slash chief, ex-counselor slash chief, his daughter was elected in, and they tried to bring those guys back. And so I believe that she knows this contract system and she knows the fraud that's going on. So they're all kind of like working together, and I believe this family, like they are pretty much in control of a lot of things on the reserve, and they're using the reserves money as their own personal piggy banks.
Mm-hmm.
And so those contractors, um, all of a sudden there was an invoice that came in. I think it was May of 2025, and this is like months after they were fired. And our accountant, our boss, our finance accountant, like our boss, he did some of the work that was needed to be done at the well-being center, but the new elected counselor and uh, the well-being director approved an invoice from both those ex-contractors for work that they didn't do and about $50,000 each. They brought it in, and as finance, we have to, we're looking at it and we're like, okay. I was like, I know that my boss did that. And, you know, and I was like, oh my God. And we're all like talking about it, but we can't do anything. We don't have no control.
Yeah.
And there was only two people in chief and council that would sign the checks. So when they're signed, oh, and the invoices and approvals were actually the ex-chief's daughter and the well-being director. So that's like a conflict of interest, but yet we still had to approve it.
Yeah.
And and yeah, so we had to cut them those checks and for work that they didn't even do. So that's like a red flag right there as well.
Yeah.
So also this ex-chief slash counselor, another thing that he did that was illegal was that he was paid a year in advance. He paid himself a year salary in advance.
Wow.
Yeah. His brother, um, I don't know which department he worked in, but he got a loan from the band. Like, I think it was like $35,000. So they were just garnishing his wages. He ended up leaving, and now he works for the band again, and his wages aren't being garnished, and he still owes $20,000.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yes. So then, the well-being director and the contractors, I believe they came up with some sort of like they were trying to create their own system where there was this weekend pay that they got, $75 an hour at 10 hours to get paid for nothing. It was an on-call pay. And it was alternated between the director and I don't know, I think she was like a supervisor of some sort. But anyways, um, they alternated that pay. And so because like in finance, like the people that did or the person that did the payroll for the well-being center, she went on a leave, so I took over the payroll. And me, I'm very, very like tedious and I
Yeah.
catch everything. I ask questions. I'm like, why is this? Why is that? You're like, and I treat them like adults, like, hey, if you don't have your paperwork and like this isn't done, this is not, you're not getting paid for it, right? So like I was kind of like really nitpicky that way.
Yeah.
But so when I seen that they're getting paid this extra, I'm like, well, if they're getting paid this extra on call time, where is the documentation? Like they're on call, so they're getting paid, but what work are they actually doing? Like, is it actual calls? If they are receiving calls, they should be writing them down, monitoring them, and some sort of paperwork to back that up. And if they actually have to do like house calls or have to go to the clinic or any of those things, it should all be recorded and they should be paid accordingly, not just
Yeah.
an automatic 10 hours at $75 an hour. So I took it to human resources and then that's where they took over and it was taken out. So they were a little mad about me at me about that. But but this is like all the same family.
Yeah.
So actually it was actually pretty funny because there was another family, they call them the elites. And I was like, that's kind of funny, but not really. I was like, it's not fair. I was
Oh, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
like this is my reserve. This is all of our reserve. This is not their reserve.
Yes.
And I don't like it at all. And because I want everybody to have everything. I don't want to see, some people, starving or any of that stuff. And I think that it would be prevented if there was a lot more money if they weren't taking it.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly.
there's a lot more stuff. Like I can go on and on and on, but I just wanted to clear this up like with just the one family. But there's like a lot more stuff that's in the system and there's a lot in there. Um, but now like not having access to like information, I don't have the proof, but the proof is there. Also the well-being director, um, she gets puts in a lot of check requisitions and a lot of the money that I see that's leaves is the powwow money. Like the powwow in our reserve is like August, and
Yeah.
she's like already making check recs to buy blankets, tobacco, and all that stuff. Um, and it's like $1,000 or two, and she's writing them in April. It's like, isn't that a little bit too early?
Yeah.
And she never ever provides any receipts. Never. So I'm like, that's just pocket money. That's why I said this is their little piggy bank.
Yeah.
And people
No.
need to know.
Yeah.
And I'm letting people know. And I don't care if I'm hated. I'm and I don't want to be silenced.
No.
And it is like really scary to speak up, but
Oh, yeah.
it's time. This is our everybody's time to speak up, call everybody out, just like I called out my abuser.
Yeah. No, that's exactly like when I worked in Frog Lake. I used to be the accountant of the store, and I seen how the counselors would charge up and do all these other things. I tried to rat it out then, but they said don't do it. And then I ended up working in income support, and then the accountant came to me, and that's when I got fired for doing that. And then I took them to the Federal Labor Board. Took 14 months. They had no proof, but I had 250 pages. A lawyer put to be nonpartisan for the federal government, me, were there. I got a $25,000 settlement because they didn't give me a severance, and then they gave me a house. But I had to fight for that house for about 4 years because I was going to take them to court because I knew when I did that, they were going to cut off my education, cut off my housing, and do everything because you know how they control everything and they have threats. And just like you said,
Yeah,
the council there, there's so much nepotism. And hearing your story, I'm not gonna hold back my feelings. I get angry about that because it's in my community and it's in a lot of our communities across Canada. To be honest, because we all talk and we all know, and it's a sad thing, like you said. A lot of the chief and councils will say we don't got money, but yet, when you see the finances, you see hundreds of millions of coming in. Like we got for cows and paws, we got 189 million for that settlement. And there's another settlement that's going to be coming in for the Hayland settlement. I don't know how much that is going to be, 400 million. Uh, that's just a guess, but they say they got no money. But what about that? That's $500 million and our oil royalties as well too. And they say that there should be no reason why there should be poverty on a First Nation community with that kind of money coming in. And from
exactly.
what you're talking about, just like to thank you very much for sharing your story and coming out with the courage to do that. And I am so proud and happy that there's people like you, to be honest, to stand up like that. That makes me proud and happy when I see other people taking the courage, even though they know that, yeah, I'm gonna get some kickback because it's happening, but more and more people are doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy that I have got to met you and that you came on my Unsilenced podcast. I was just wondering, do you have any last remarks or anything?
Like I said, it's just sad to see like a lot of people struggling, poverty, drugs and alcohol. Like there's so much things that I would love to see this reserve have to help with just everybody, you know? Like I always tell them, I was like, it doesn't even matter what your last name is to me. Our whole reserve, we're all pretty much related,
Yep.
you know? One way or another, we're all related. And so like I treat everybody like family. Try to anyways, you know? Be like a real like a good person to everybody, you
Yeah.
know? And when I saw that, like I was pissed, you know, because I grew up with them when I was younger a little bit. Like I was there, like and so I was really shocked and hurt, you know, to see like people that I once trusted to not have tr any trust at all.
Yeah.
I did block them. Once I found out everything, I was like, nope. I was like, this isn't excusable. I was like, you're stealing from everybody.
Yeah.
And um, it is really scary to call people out like this, but I don't care. It has to be known. And yeah, we'll see what happens from here.
Okay. I just have one more question.
Okay.
I know me and you were having a discussion earlier. I was wondering later in the future, or later this week, or maybe in the future, would you be willing to come back on and talk about domestic violence on another
Yes.
Unsilenced podcast episode? Yes?
Yes, I would love to. Like I told you in the beginning, like,
Yeah.
uh, I did have quite a few things to bring up and I wanted
Yeah.
that right out. And I didn't know if we would have enough time to talk about domestic violence, but it is really important to me. Um, and and like right now, like I do speak about it. I go to communities and talk about domestic violence, but right now I'm working on doing workshops for youth.
Yeah.
I want youth to recognize it and say like, and know what it is. So then when they go home, they're like, hey, my aunt and uncle are fighting and my uncle like pushed her. That's domestic violence. And then they'd say, like, can you stop being mean? Or, you know, like
Yeah.
you just go home and like just recognize those things. And yeah, and children pick up on anything and everything, you know? So
Yeah.
I think if you start with them young, recognizing those things and that they're not normal, then, you know, maybe start a trend of like being a little bit nicer to people and to themselves and to know that they should respect themselves and respect everybody, actually. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Crystal, for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate it. But we'll end it there, and I'll talk to you maybe later this evening or tomorrow or sometime next week to set up a schedule for that podcast. And you have yourself a good evening. Thank you
Thank you
again
for
for showing
having me.
courage to come on here. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, good
Bye.
night.